Hey guys, my name is Amber Stout. I'm a physical therapist assistant at Mercy Inpatient Rehab. I've been hearing some questions about our manual sit-to-stand lift, so I was going to go over a few things with you guys. Anyone can introduce this to a patient. However, there are conditions that it's not safe to use this piece of equipment. So that would be if a patient is non-weight bearing on a lower extremity, or if they have poor trunk control. Because once they're up here, they're not going to have anything to support their trunk. So if someone can't sit on the edge of the mat without a second person, this is not the right device for them. So you might hear this be called the Sara-Steady. Technically, this is not a Sara-Steady, but it is in the same family. The Sara-Steady is a brand as well. This typically should be called a manual sit-to-stand lift, okay? We call it manual because we also have an electric lift. We don't use it very often. This one is much easier to manage. As you can see, it's got two bars, one in the front, one in the back. It's got a couple of pads where the patients will put their knees. And then these flaps here will be on the outside. They're very easy to turn. You just pull them up to get them out of the way, pull them down when they're in use. Those should be out of the way before you start a transfer. This also has a foot plate at the bottom. It's kind of narrow, so you have to be really careful about where you place your patient's feet on the platform. And then it's got two brakes. So the brakes are only on the front wheels, so technically the back wheels still can move. That's another reason why we want to make sure that we have this device with an appropriate patient. That way we can stay safe ourselves and keep our patients safe as well. So before I use this is my patient Michaela. Before I use this device, if I have a patient sitting up on the edge, or if they're actually preferably lying down in bed before you get them to the edge of the bed, we need to make sure we have everything in place, everything set up. So today, Michaela, I'm gonna move her from the edge of the bed to the recliner. So before I do that, I need to make sure that the recliner is positioned appropriately, as well as all of the brakes are locked. That way I don't get her up in the machine and then go to sit her down in the chair, move on us. Same goes for the wheelchair. If I'm going to transfer her into the wheelchair, I want to make sure that the wheelchair is close and the brakes are locked before I get her up. Excuse me. So for Michaela, you might have to move this way because there's some of the beds, you may have to raise them from the floor in order to get the legs of this machine, under them. Now, Michaela doesn't have any deficits, so she was able to pick her feet up very easily. If you have like a stroke patient or anybody that has any kind of like hemiplegia going on, you may have to pick up their affected limb and place it on the platform. You want to get this really close to them and then lock the brakes. The gait belt will go on the patient. Even though you're using the machine, just in case anything happens, you'll have something to hold on to. The bar closest to the patient is for the patient. The one on the outside is for us to be able to maneuver the machine. I always like to put the gait belt low around someone's pelvis because I feel like it gives me more control over their body. And if you have a patient that has very, very poor hip extension, you can always leave the belt where it's at around the pelvis and kind of lean over the bar. There we go. And when they go to stand, I'm pulling her towards me to pull her into hip extension. But it would, just like with anything else, when we're moving a patient, we want them to do as much as they can by themselves. So I always tell people, okay, you're gonna grab this bar. When I say 3, I'm gonna have you stand up. This device can be used with one professional. You do not need a second person in the room. As long as you feel comfortable using it by yourself, go ahead and stand up. I usually like to hold them in standing. Sometimes I'll use the bar to help myself hold them in standing. And then you lower the flaps down. Her knees are up against those pads. Go ahead and have a seat. When she sits down, she's sitting, let me see if I can turn you a little bit. When she sits down, she's sitting on the flaps that I lowered. Now, when someone is up in this position, you always want to be close enough to where you can grab them. But I'm now going to move her to the recliner. So I unlock the brakes. I turn her toward the recliner. I want to get her back as far as I can. Right now, we are up against that chair. You always lock the brakes. Once again, use the gate belt. We're gonna stand on 3. 1, 2, 3. The patient stands up. It's very creaky, but it's safe. You move the flaps out of the way. Go ahead and have a seat. And you lower the patient down into the chair. Once they're in the chair, if you feel like their back is too far forward, you can have them scoot their bottom back. You can help them scoot their bottom back. You unlock the brakes. You move it out of the way. Again, if someone has any kind of hemiplegia, you may need to help them get their affected leg off of the platform. Let me know if you guys have any more questions. Yeah, thank you.